I don't want to smoke, I don't want to drink, but you're not helping me fly, you're making me sink. I want to impress you, to teach you to dance, but rather than listen, you're making me prance. It's not God, my lovelies, it is just the wind. But sometimes it happens, the wind gives you wings. I love you, all dearly. I don't want life alone, but I'll live like a nomad just till I find my home. The third verse of this poem is a nod to my psychosis, wherein I did indeed feel that the wind was in fact God at times. And I have on occasion considered rewriting the verse to read, "It is God, my lovelies. It's not just the wind." But I don't feel that it's good for people to believe in something they haven't seen any evidence of. I do not find the existence of a God soothing, but rather terrifying. One look at the Old Testament shows a God of violent tendencies, and I do not like the feeling of being an ant rather than a giant. I do rather unfashionably believe in God myself, or some form of gods and the spirits, or a stimulation, or some form of supernatural. I actually wrote a song about it, so here's the musical section of the show. Living in the Matrix, not even the good Matrix. Yes, we're living in the Matrix. This is the shit Matrix. Am I dead? Am I alive? Did I live? Did I survive? Silently tread this world of pain. Trying to keep my mind from crying, trying to stop my brain from dying, trying to keep myself from going quite insane. 'Cause we're living in the Matrix, not even the good Matrix. Yes, we're living in the Matrix. This is the shit Matrix. I believe in some form of cosmic order, because my life has been full of events that I have no other explanation for, and my physics prize mind will not discount that we could be fundamentally missing a truth about the universe. The time of the magically appearing toilet roll dispenser in my wardroom, which I could swear hadn't been there a few minutes earlier, prompted the working title of my book, God Gave Me a Toilet Roll Dispenser. Well, one of the working titles. There have been many iterations. All I wanted to do was write a book, build a database and get laid, and after 8 years of mental health interventions, I still want to write a book. The final verse is a nod to the story of Janet Frame, who was a New Zealand author who spent 8 years of her life mainly in mental wards, and even scheduled for a lobotomy just day before the procedure. Her debut novel of short stories won a National Literary Prize. The lobotomy was cancelled, and her autobiographical film finishes with her being happily surrounded by creatives and saying that she has finally found her home. It's easy to see why I draw parallels with her story, incorrectly assumed to be mad when you're just different, shy maybe. But there are differences. Janet's early life was by all accounts hard. Her 2 younger sisters drowned in separate drowning incidents, and her brother suffered epileptic seizures. She was first treated for psychiatric disorder after a failed suicide attempt. They sectioned me for being happy. I was happy. I was unstable, yes, but I was happy. I even told the doctors that I knew how to handle it, a book and a packet of cigarettes. I just needed a day or two to stabilize. I'd never been confident before. I took one bender in my entire life. 80% of the population spend their 20s going out on a Friday night and walking straight into work on a Monday. I never did. Once in my life I overdid it, quite spectacularly, I must say, and got sectioned for it. Over the years I got sectioned again and again, just to the point where my life was maybe about to take off again. Where once my fancies were wild, cocaine-fueled hot tub parties, over time they became somewhat more gentle. You ask me for my fantasies. I say the quiet life, with a nice clean house and gardening, with baking instead of strife. I've been there now, I've done it, I've done near everything, so let me tell you of the things that would cause my heart to sing. I'd like to bake a pretty cake. Maybe a rainbow one with coloured ice and sprinkles and a bow that I have done. I'd like to plant some daffodils in bright, delightful pots, and maybe a thriving herb patch. I would like that, lots and lots. I dream of chores not being chores, the dusting, sweep and mop, and maybe even ironing the housework that God forgot. And as the evening hours lengthen, I'll scribble, draw and write, give the little cat a cuddle and make a tasty bite. I'd like to bake a fancy flan, maybe a hot pot for the main. When I tell you of my fantasies, they're really most mundane. Of course I like the passion. A party's always fun. But I'd like to try the wholesome life. Now all that's done is done. I also fantasized about love, a child and a cottage together with someone I adored. And over that pandemic, that love started to be centered on a specific person. We didn't have to see each other all the time, live in each other's pockets, but I dreamt of living with my most favourite person in the world, the most wholesome thing you ever did meet. When he ghosted me after I told him I loved him, things took a turn for the worse. I dared to dream, to live again, that I'd found someone to ease the pain. I dared to hope I wasn't alone, that someone nice might throw me a bone. Someone might help me day to day. Someone might once show me the way. They'd help me from my knees to feet and show me how I could defeat the demons that control my mind, the pain that shivers down my spine, the fear that causes my eyes to weep, my feet to drag, my back to steep. I know that it's a lot to ask, but is it really? Time will pass, and so I'll walk this land alone and slowly, slowly turn to stone. Turn to stone or develop an addiction. Love is a powerful drug. One of the times I was in a mental ward, I wrote, "Love is a very dangerous emotion," all over the place in biro. For it is love that makes us do crazy things, not the drugs or alcohol that we use to quench our thirst for it. The next poem is called Crack Den, and I would like to preface it by saying that I have never in fact tried crack, though my local friendly homeless guy outside Nisa assures me it's not that bad. But then he's begging outside Nisa, so I may not take their advice. But when we talk about drugs, we never talk about why people might find solace in places that are assumed to be awful. Maybe that why is that you are so hurt and damaged that polite society rejects you, that anywhere with people is sometimes better than being on your own. When you feel so wretched inside yourself and your life is such a mess that you don't know how to talk to people whose lives to you are going fine, and maybe it might just be nice not to be the most messed up person in the room for once. This poem was written shortly after the previous one, and the hotel mentioned I booked in the hope that he would come for a night or 5 minutes. He did not, and in the morning I was escorted home by the police after being upset at breakfast. So I'll wander to the crack den, 'cause that's where my pain ends. I thought it'd be a happy day. I thought I'd make amends. I booked a nice hotel suite. I thought I would treat myself. But there's no one here to share it. I'll stay here by myself. So I'll wander to the crack den. Maybe that leaves my pain, that all the friends I still cherish don't feel for me the same. I'd walk many a country mile. I'd knock right on their door. If that was what was called for, I'd even do way more. But I invite them round for dinner, or just a cup of tea, and yet everyone's too busy to see me. So I'll wander to the crack den and drink the cheap red wine and drown away my sorrows until they think I'm fine. It may take many moons, it may take many years to alleviate the terror, to soothe the constant fears. I've smartened up my terrace. The place is looking tight, but there's no one here to visit me. Well, isn't that just nice? So I'll wander to the crack den 'cause that's where my pain ends. I thought it'd be a happy day. I thought I'd make amends.